The name of the show is The Way to Go. My name is Alan Bendich. I'm going to be your host. Tonight we have a special guest. Her name is Courtenay Turner. She's a speaker, an actress, a host, and the founder of WIM, What is Movement. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
It's my pleasure. So you and I are both good friends of JT, which is really nice. Yeah. So any friend of JT's is a friend of mine, that's for sure.
Yes, he's like a big brother to me.
Yeah, you guys go back a long time, right? I mean, you guys started a while back. So you're a speaker, an actress, and a host. What type of speaking do you do?
So I speak about my life story, and I talk about building resiliency using what I call movement mindset to overcome adversity.
Wow.
And I talk about that in reference to, it's a framework that I've created, but I talk about it in reference to the challenges that I've faced in my life and how I've overcome them. And, I also talk about how I believe movement is a metaphor for life. And I always say all human beings are designed to move. The ways in which we do are our unique creative expressions. And so I talk about how the metaphor of movement, movement being a metaphor for life can teach us so much about building resiliency and overcoming adversity.
Yeah, I guess with this crisis that we're living through at this point, people have been confined in their homes a lot.
Totally.
And, I mean, a lot of times, I guess some people feel like, either they can't figure out how to work out in their homes and not going to the gyms because they're afraid to touch stuff, I guess. And so do you show people or do you share with people of, how to move and things like that? Or
Totally. So when I speak to a live audience, a lot of the times I will perform aerial acrobatics. So I was born with lots of medical challenges, and they basically told my mom the best she could hope was to find a nice institution for me to spend my life. So not all venues will have the capacity or ability for me to perform, but I often feel like it's a really good companion to show people what is possible when everyone thought it wasn't.
Right.
And so while yes, I coach, I train, I coach CrossFit. I've been on my social media guiding people through at home workouts that they can do on just a yoga mat with no equipment necessary.
Right.
So I definitely do that, but it's a lot more about mindset is really my focus. I want people to move, but I want them to tap into what movement means to them. Because I think it's a very personal thing. We all have different strengths, weaknesses, even physically, and we have different ways that we enjoy. I consider our bodies our physical homes. We're mental, emotional, physical, spiritual being, but we reside physically in our bodies. So I want people to tap into that and figure out what works for them. So.
Right. I used to, I guess at different stages of my life, I'm 64 years old now. At different stages of my life, I did different kind of physical activities that I felt that it was in tune with my body. I used to be a swimmer, then I was a runner for 40 years. Now I do bicycling, but I cannot even think of, and I like to do it for an extended period of time because it winds up being almost like a meditative state that I get in when I'm working out. It gets me, and the endorphins and all that other stuff. So I totally, I'm into movement, and I kind of feel bad for people who haven't really experienced that feeling of almost, I wouldn't say ecstasy, whatever it is, that feeling of that
endorphin rush.
That's it. It's just such a wonderful feeling of working out, and it does. If I don't work out, and I've had injuries and things like that, I can go for a time without working out, and I could really feel how physically and mentally,
absolutely,
things change in my body. So
for sure, yeah,
it's amazing. So you're also an actress. Well, I just want to touch on some of the stuff, but actually, you know what? I have some. You talked about aerial things that you do.
Yeah.
You shared some pictures. Is it okay if I share some of the pictures?
Yeah,
maybe you could talk about them? Okay,
sure.
Great. So let's see if I can figure out how to do this. Hold on. Okay, I'm going to share the screen. Oops. We'll start with this. Okay, so let me do a slideshow. Is it sharing or?
I don't see it. So
Oh, not yet. Okay. I still have to figure out. See, I'm still a little bit new to. Oh, there. Okay, now it'll work.
understand.
Okay, so let me go back to this. Can you see it now? Let's go back. Anything?
I don't see anything yet.
Okay. Well, I'm gonna have to figure this out. I'm still trying again. Okay, let's see if I start like this.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Okay, let's see if I can get the slideshow rolling. Okay, so here's a picture of you, and you look like you're in great shape.
Yeah.
This is so. There's the aerial slide.
Yeah.
So I'm just going to stop at this point because I want to ask how many people could actually, do those type of, I mean, when is this something that you show on the web, or do you have people coming in to do this kind of exercise, or is this something you just do personally?
I do personally, and I perform it.
Oh,
So,
okay.
like when I'm speaking, I will perform on, whatever apparatus I have access to, and that the venue will allow.
So how
So
many people do you usually speak to? I mean, how big is the group?
it really depends. Like it's all different ranges, and I it's new for me starting to speak. Like I've just really started speaking
Right.
about this particular. My life story is something that has been like, years ago when I first graduated from college, Lifetime offered, to buy the rights to my life story.
Wow.
They actually offered $250,000 to buy the rights to my life story. I had said no because they wanted the rights, and I felt like when you
Yeah, it's
have
your life.
own
Right.
the rights to your life, and that was really how I saw it. And
Right.
truth be told, I think I'd make the same decision today. But because I was mainstreamed my whole life, and I spent so much of my life, you know, trying to overcome. And I never wanted people to look at me as a victim, or to pity me, or to, make excuses for anything. So
Right.
I really spent most of my life not talking about it. So, but at some point I realized that I think that there are so many people, I actually, with the feedback that I got, there's so many people who were helped by hearing my story. And so I almost felt like it was my obligation to share, and not only to share that, because I think the ability to be able to inspire is always an honor and a gift. However, I feel like it can be ephemeral, like it's kind of like motivation. It's like it gives you that nice little buzz, and then you're like, okay, now what? And
Right.
so it's really important to me that when I speak, I not only inspire, but also leave them with tangible tools that they can impart in their own lives.
Now, it seems like you've been through a lot of traumatic
Mhm.
situations in
Yeah,
your life. And I think I mean, to one extent or another, everyone goes through trying
absolutely.
times. So,
Yeah,
and I feel that, and I know I have,
yeah,
and, it's really figuring out a way to get beyond that,
yes.
and to overcome it. It's amazing. Like my dad, I talked to you about my dad earlier. He's 105 years old. He was in World War II. He was shot in 1969, and he survived that. And he survived, and he doesn't. He never looked at himself as a victim. He still doesn't. And his whole philosophy is that life is good, and you got to be lucky. And even if you have bad luck, just overcoming that bad luck, makes you lucky. So, but he's more than lucky. But I guess the whole thing is that we all face, you know, roadblocks in our life.
That's so one thing, all human beings, none of us escape that. We're all going to face challenges for
And
sure.
it's how you really handle those
Ooh,
situations that
yes,
really counts, right? I mean,
absolutely.
yeah.
Yeah, it's really,
So,
I always say, we're all dealt like a hand, like in a deck of cards,
yeah,
and it's about how do you play that hand. You can have the best hand and do nothing with it, and you could have, a not so good hand and make the most of it and really exceeded the game of life.
right,
So
right. And I think, I love hearing the way you say that, it's almost in a way, it's a choice to be a victim of your own problems, but overcoming that, then you become almost like a champion of it. And once you get, so, and a lot of times, I guess, I mean, even in my life, I felt sorry for myself when some things went bad, but then I realized that you're just wasting time feeling sorry for yourself. And the best thing in life to do is really to overcome these things and to strengthen through it, and and just get, so it's I think it's a good message. And I know there's a lot of people that are feeling bad out there now, people losing their jobs,
Yeah.
people don't have enough to eat, the world seems to be crashing in on people, and now's the time to really find, I guess, that intestinal fortitude, figure out a way to, whatever it is. So I think your message is really wonderful for people,
Yeah.
and keep it up. That's great. It's wonderful. So I'm going to shift into more of like a selfish kind of task, I guess, acting, because you're an actress as well, right? I mean,
Yeah.
that's a different kind of buzz you get when you're acting, right? I mean, I love acting. I'm an actor,
Yeah.
and it's like the best times in my life are when I'm acting. I do other things in my life, but when I'm really living is, I feel like there's nothing better. That's my own feeling, is that, there's nothing better than that. So what type of projects have you worked on? I'm curious.
I've worked on many, like mostly film and theater. And I absolutely love theater. I find that my strength lies actually much more in film. I'm much more of a nuanced actor, like
Right,
the details that are my strong suit and what I really, enjoy. So
right,
that gets captured much better in film than it does in theater.
right.
But I do love the live energy of theater, and the pressure is probably not quite the right word, but the pressure of it, that you forced to be present in the moment.
Right.
And I also, now, there's certainly to be something to be said for there's lots of quality film writing, but a lot of theater writing is just so profound, so there's also that to sink your teeth into. Um, yeah, so I agree with you. Acting is a total rush. It's I was actually recently telling this story of I started college as a neuroscience major. I switched midway to philosophy. I was really afraid to tell my parents, and when my dad was like, "Why'd you wait so long to tell us?" And I was like, "I thought you would be disappointed." And my dad said, "Why would you be disappointed that you wanted to learn how to think?" Like,
Right.
that's
Oops. Looks like you froze.
Adler, and
Okay.
then they really wondered where they went wrong. But I'm just kidding. But the first time I auditioned, I remember thinking that it was going to be very much like academic presentations. I'd done a lot of public speaking. I was on the debate team. I started boards and been presenting for them. I did a lot of research projects, and I had defended those. And so I thought public speaking was going to be what it would be akin to.
Right.
However, in that first moment of doing my first monologue, I realized it was nothing like that at all. It was much more like gymnastics for me, where you have to prepare everything, all the little details, and then in that moment, you have to let it go and just
That's right.
trust
That's when it's the best.
there.
At that
That's
moment, that's when it's the best, and that's when it feels the best. Also, it's like
totally.
you could prepare and prepare and prepare, but when the director says action, and
Yeah.
you are that person, all of a sudden those words become your words. It's not words on a piece of paper. So it's amazing. That's the
What
biggest.
I love most about it is I think I spent most of my life studying, being so fascinated by the human experience and studying it from, the philosophical, psychological, metaphysical, physiological perspectives.
Right.
And acting was the first time that I had to embody it viscerally
Right.
and, live the human experience. So it was a way to study it, but I had to live it. And I found that both terrifying and invigorating at the same time. It was just a really magical kind of way to
Cool.
explore the human psyche.
Well, I think you're such a complex person with many things. If we could just shift over now to hosting, and then we also have a video that we'd like to share with
Oh,
everyone.
sure.
So
Sure.
the question is, would the video be more apropos now, do you think, at this point? It probably would have been from the last segment, but do you think it's maybe? I think maybe we should actually show the video now. Could you tell us what it is? And again, does this have anything to do with what is movement, WIM, the video that you're sharing with
It's
us?
the teaser for the show. Yeah.
Okay.
So I'm in the process of right now of pitching this show. I put together 7 episodes,
Yes.
and I'm looking to pitch it and get it out there because
Right.
I believe that it's going to help people and inspire people. So my
Okay,
baby.
so let's see if I could figure out the technology of doing this. So let me get the, I'm going to do share.
I was born with congenital rubella. My mother, in the first trimester of pregnancy, had German measles. They removed the cataract when I was 3 months old. Cataract surgery back then was very different than it is now, so they left debris. I had heart surgery when I was about a year old. I was born hearing impaired. I guess you would consider it legally deaf. I was also born with hypotonia, which meant that the muscles didn't develop. My growth was stunted. I was born missing 10 teeth. I had graphic motor impairment. And I think that for me, having spent so much of my life being told, you can't do this, there's just so many things nobody expected me to be able to do. If you tell me I'm not going to be able to do something, like, I'm going to figure out how I'm going to do it. My whole premise behind creating this show is I believe all human beings are designed to move, but the way that which they do is their unique creative expression. So I really want
It should be inspiring. It shows, I think it was filmed beautifully. I think it's a really good project
Thank you
and
so
it's
much.
positive. How much more positive could it possibly be?
Right.
So how many, did you just do the pilot or have you done,
I have 7 episodes that are done.
wow.
And right now I like just put that little trailer together to start pitching it. So yeah.
And so how did you meet these people? I mean, is it a casting? How did you
Oh,
find these?
so a lot of them I actually knew already from athletic circles,
Right,
and some of them I just knew of, and I thought their stories were really inspiring, and so I reached out to them.
right,
Yeah, and I've been really fortunate because where I live, there's a lot of really large athletic community out here, so
right.
if I didn't know somebody directly, there was some, by 6 degrees of separation, there was likely somebody who would, and I was able to reach them.
So, I mean, they seem to be, I guess because I'm older, a lot of people, or maybe it's still this way, people with disabilities. um, used to be hidden away, kind of like they away from life. And it's so good to see people, because and we're all disabled in certain ways. We're all broken people that are, and we're trying to overcome what breaks us, I guess. But it's so amazing to see strong people who have such challenges in their life. It's and again, everyone has challenges. That's the whole thing. I guess we're all just trying to survive and make the best out of it. And
Right. So for me, it's about tapping into your inner superhero. So you think about like the superheroes in movies, right?
right,
Most of them, they all have this Achilles heel. They
that's
have,
true.
yeah. Then they have the superpower that helps them not only overcome their Achilles heel, but
Right.
help the rest of the world. And I believe that that's true of all of us as humans. Like you said, we all have challenges. We're all, I don't necessarily think of us as broken, but we all have our challenges. We're all flawed. And it's about figuring out what are those gifts that we have, because those are our superpowers. And
Well, I
those,
think one of your gifts is similar to my dad's gift, because what he tries to do is to make other people feel good and be happy and like overcome. He's a positive person, and you seem to be very positive in the face of negativity that happened in your life. I mean, where did you find that strength? Do you know? Or
it's a really good question. I think, probably a combination of, but my mom's a psychologist, and she would always say that we're a product of nature, nurture, and fate, and never underestimate the power of fate. By fate, she means, like the circumstance of life. And I think for me, really is a combination of those things. I think there's, I have a very determined personality. I am very much the kind of person who likes intrinsic satisfaction of accomplishing things.
right.
So I think that's part of it. And then I think I was fortunate that I did have people like my mom, my grandfather, people in my life who were championing for me and really fighting for me, and instilling that I think I can mentality. My mom used to read The Little Engine That Could to me, and it's one of my favorites. And that was one of my mantras growing up. I think I can. I think I can. So
And
I think it's a combination of, all three: the nature, nurture, and fate. Yeah.
and you had the encouragement of your parents, right? I mean,
Yeah.
did your mom gave you? I mean, because that's very important, to have support in the house. I mean, but it's also good if you didn't have it, to overcome that as well. If that's ultimately the issue.
One of the things I talk about in my framework is
Yes,
that as human beings, because we're social creatures, we need support. We
right.
don't, sometimes that support is there and we don't recognize it and we don't utilize it. Other times we need to go and find it. We need to
That's it.
create that team and build that support system for ourselves. So if you're fortunate enough that you got it from your parents,
Right.
that's awesome. Use that. But that may not be the support you need for all areas of your life. Like maybe your parents are super supportive of you in one arena and they're not so supportive in another. And that other area is something you're really passionate about and you have a really strong conviction for, then you need to find somebody who's going to support you in that, because that is part of your journey and your
And
mission.
and I think also part of it is growing up in a way too, because you know I think like when you're younger, it's easier to feel. I mean, eventually you have to come to the realization, if you're going to survive in this life, that the only way you're going to make it is if you find the inner strength to
Absolutely.
persevere and to go beyond. Because everyone could be. I mean, we're all victims of our parents. We're all, whatever. Even the best of parents, everyone makes mistakes,
Of course. Yeah.
and the whole thing is finding your way and finding your strength. And
Absolutely.
it's amazing. And to see the people in that video that you shared find their way and their strength, whatever the issue was, whether it was a physical disability or drug addiction or whatever the issue was, to get over it. Because it's easy to go down a path that could end your life. It's a little bit more difficult to find the strength to improve your life. So it's interesting. It's interesting.
Absolutely.
So, and there's a lot of prime candidates in the big cities and I guess all over the world we have issues. Everyone has issues. So, so where are you trying to sell your project?
I don't know yet. That's the journey that I'm beginning now. So yeah.
It's
see if we can
exciting.
find a nice home for it. Yeah.
Well, I wish you all the luck in the world, and it's
Yeah.
really been great having you on the show. It's I know it was a little rocky a couple of times, and I will ensure that we get the sound in. If it's not in, I'll check after we film it to make sure that it is. Um, I'm really happy that JT brought us together,
Me too.
and it's always good to have positive people on the show. And I guess really at this point, there's just one thing left to say.
Okay.
That's a wrap. Good night, folks.